Okay.
Okay, looks like we're rolling. And let's just jump right into the slideshow, Sue.
Okay. So, as I said a second ago, we're going to back up today and talk about the big overview. What is market domination? So, So let's just talk about market domination for a moment. In my mind, certification is all about market domination. And market domination is being in control of all of the platforms, all of the places where your buyers are going to visit during their buyer cycle, during the buying cycle. So while they're going from initial inquiry all the way toward pushing that buy button, you want to make sure that your buyers are aware that you're the only viable option. So the next question is, how do we do that? Let's start by talking about what a buying cycle actually is. First, you've got the initial inquiry. You've got product discovery. You've got broad social proof, brand determination, product determination, specific social proof, and finally the actual purchase. So the initial inquiry, this is like, okay, I just went over to my friend's house. I saw this fantastic new computer that he's got with this new CPU chip, obviously brand new technology I've had in my head, so buried in networks that I didn't even realize there was all this new technology available. I need to go see what's out there. So that's the initial inquiry. I'm doing a bunch of Google searches, I'm looking on a bunch of different sales sites, and then I find some products that I think I'm interested in, and I'm looking at what people are saying about these particular products. Oftentimes this is actually on the sales site where you get the customer feedback. I'll also go to places like CNET and other places. Depends on obviously what the product is that I'm buying, but places that are known for being impartial. And I'm looking at that point for kind of like broad social proof. Then once I've narrowed it down to the brand determination, I've determined, okay, this is the brand, and within this brand, this is the product that I actually want to buy. Then at that point, I'm looking for specific social proof. Other people who have bought this actual particular product, what do they like about it? What are the issues behind it? And are they severe enough that I want to consider backing all the way up and determining another product or another brand? And then finally, once I've decided everything, I'm going and looking for the best absolute price so that I can hit that buy button. So in these steps, what you want to do, it's probably the next slide, what you want to do is to be in all, or at least as many of those places as possible that your customer is going to visit during the buying cycle. And while you're there, you want to convince them that you're the most viable option, that you're actually the only option that makes any sense whatsoever. All right, so to sum it up, market ubiquity and intelligent positioning as the only viable option are most easily obtained through a comprehensible stackable system. This next slide I think is going to be a video, and I'm going to try and see how this comes across. I'm going to hit the play button. You guys give me some feedback if it's not coming across, if you can't hear the audio or whatever. Whoops. That didn't work.
It's hard to say if this will work on GoTo.
Oh, good. Oh, we changed that.
Yeah, because it wasn't working in the slide. How many of you guys have already seen this video on stackable systems?
Have you guys seen it, and can you hear it? Those would be my two questions. I got it on pause right now, but could you hear the intro?
I couldn't hear it, Sue.
Oh, okay. All right. Then that's not going to work.
Okay.
Let me just drop you guys the link. And no and no. Okay, good. All right, so then I will just drop the link here and go to, and you guys can watch it after the fact, unfortunately. All right, so...
You can also give a basic summary.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do you want to sum it up?
Sure. Yeah. Many of you guys have seen the stackable business model, which we started in 2012, which was essentially the perpetual lead magnet machine. And stackable systems are really the core of how many systems like the internet itself are built. And so basically the video talks about how something incredibly complex that can never be predicted is essentially made out of binary in its initial stages, meaning just ones and zeros, which is also yeses and nos. So as a neuroscientist, I deal with decisions with just basic binary. In other words, I break it down at the basic level. And we apply all of that to our calls to action, our painkiller marketing, and some pretty advanced stuff. But more importantly, each step of the way, while you're building your online business presence, is based on the same stackable system called the Plmn system. And we built this because we found that a lot of people have this idea, or they have the wrong order of actions and what was the highest priority. And so that's essentially why we wanted to introduce you to probably the best introduction to stackable business models I've ever seen, and actually stackable hierarchy. So really the essence and the takeaway from that video is you should make things as simple as possible, but not simpler. And that stackable systems are sustainable and scalable. That's basically what we wanted to express with that. So watch that, and it'll give you a little more insight of how we built our entire one web ring, socially activated perpetual traffic system.
Cool. So the Plmn system is designed to systematically remove your competition. And the way that it does this, first of all, is with intelligent positioning, which is done in layers 1 and 2. It's also done with painkiller communication, which is applied in layers 3 and 4. And then finally with online ubiquity, where it's you everywhere all the time right now. And that's layers 5 through 7. Intelligent positioning is achieved, first of all, in market analysis by doing the analysis and knowing where your competitors are and where the pain is. Second of all, it's done with competitive analysis, understanding what your competitors are doing. And finally, with demographics, understanding where your target audience is hanging out and what they're talking about, as well as where they're actually searching for the products. So let's go into painkiller communication a little bit more. Painkiller communication consists of painkiller headlines, painkiller content, and painkiller videos. And we'll get into all the nuts and bolts of painkiller in extreme detail. Like we've got about a half a day that goes into that. Also painkiller autoresponders. Online ubiquity is done with search engine results. It's done with social media. It's done with RSS. So this is the model that we've got for the stackable system. And then this is a video that probably everybody's seen on the perpetual lead magnet machine.
Yeah, it's just promo.
Yeah.
Summary.
Do you guys want the link to that? Don't know that I can get it anyway. I'll shoot it to everybody afterwards. I'll when we embed the recording, I'll have the links for the videos underneath that.
And they should have access to the slideshow too, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's true. You can go through the slideshow and see it in context. Okay, so layer 1, IsDNA, the questions. Do you want to talk about this a little bit, Russ?
Sure. I'm bearing here. I'm dealing with a little bit of a strange headset, folks. So the IsDNA can actually mean two things. It started out meaning the industry solution. Yeah, that's actually what we finally decided it means.
Yeah.
And we were really talking about innovation and industry solutions. And I don't want to confuse you guys with DNA this and DNA that, because we did get a lot of complaints early on. But the reason we like it is for the same reason we like the stackable business model, is DNA is stackable. It's an extremely complex system that's compressed into a very small space based on a ratio. So when we say IsDNA, we're simply talking about the innovations within your market or, more importantly, the innovations that your company or service represents. It might be an invention or a high-tech gadget. It might be a solution to a problem which we call a painkiller. And what we discovered after probably thousands of students using Kraken, and I know Sue would vouch for this as well, is that people were data mining for thousands of years without ever building a website.
Exactly.
And it was problematic. And we realized, actually it's connected to Stephen's question. Let me just give some real-world examples here. You sort your keywords by TSMV. Well, we assumed if we gave everybody one of the highest leverage, post-KEI metrics in the world, that they would suddenly understand what was in our head. And it really wasn't. TSMV is total search market value, which is, how much money the general market is paying for a keyword, over a year's time, essentially. It's a little more complicated than that, but, those are very important keywords and topics. But the structure of your site still needs to be based on how and why human beings look for painkillers. And we later discovered that teaching people how to first come up with the unique solutions to a problem that their company or service has solved helps them get more clear on their silo landing pages. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the IsDNA is designed to help you find the, keyword research is really tied to the IsDNA in your frequently asked questions. So we get you to list the frequently asked questions, which you can pretty much find online. All of your competitors have those, and then transform those frequently asked questions into should-ask questions. And should-ask questions really are derived from unique solutions that you have provided your industry. Okay? And you do have tough clients sometimes that don't have anything unique, right?
Yep.
And that's what makes this so interesting, because if you're just an SEO and you're doing keyword research for a client, and you end up telling them, hey, you don't really have any positioning in the market that's unique or distinct or innovative, you have an opportunity to upsell them on a much more lucrative package of helping them create distinction. And a lot of SEOs don't do this. This is why, as a certified agent with us, you're not really just merely and only an SEO, because you're actually helping people, come up with an FAQ and an SAQ, and you're transitioning. You could probably move on to the next slide, but if you have any questions about this, we're going to spend a whole day at least, Sue, right? Is it 1 day or 1.5 days?
It's a day.
It's a day.
Yeah.
And this is very helpful. It's a very systematic process because you still want to find all the keywords that people are using on the search engines, right? You want, you want to be ranked for the frequently asked questions, but you want to kind of transform the frequently asked questions into should ask questions, which is both a an SEO issue as well as a neuromarketing issue. You want to convert them. It's really about the conversion and the intrigue that you're providing by offering a new and unexpected solution or a superior solution to an industry problem or pain. Does that make sense? Good.
Yep.
I got that.
So you start off with the questions. You start off with the popular questions that people are asking and how your positioning fits into that. And I mean, you have to start with a keyword. Like, that's just the only way about it. You start with a keyword, and you use that keyword to scrape the questions off of a bunch of different sites. And Quora is one of our favorite ones. I particularly like Quora because you can't get into it as easily. It can't get spammed as easily. And so Quora's got a little bit more intelligent questions. It's a little bit more spot on the pain rather than just people trying to market through questions.
Right.
But other places, I mean, Quora is mostly U.S. based, so for other countries you're going to have to go outside of Quora a little bit. But our Quora SaaS, we had the Quora bot for the last year or so, and the SaaS has just come up online. That should be ready to go by next week. So I'm very excited about that. We'll actually get to use that during certification, and you guys can actually test it out before you get there. So
yeah, you guys will have access to it first.
Yep. Yep. In fact, I might give you beta access to it here in the next day or so, depending on how it looks, what the timeline looks, how it's going to flesh out. So So you can stick your keywords in there and you'll get back a list of questions, and you can see how many times a question's been asked, and you can start to really see the pain points. And you think about that in terms of what your product offers, and you start to see how the positioning comes out of your product. So then you take those ideas and I'm just going to skip over this for a second. We'll come back to this idea in a minute.
Yeah, everybody skips the why.
We'll come back to the why in a second. You take those you take those keywords, and now when you drill in Kraken, it's really straightforward. You're not silo surfing. You're not keyword surfing anymore. You're looking specifically for those keywords that mesh up with those pain points in your USP. And so when you were asking Steve a little bit ago about, how do I sort, but then I look intelligently down that list to find the keywords that are important to me based on the research that I did in the IsDNA. Do you want to talk for a minute about the why?
Why doesn't matter? You're just giving me a hard time. I don't know. Do you want to go over that here, or should we stay technical?
No, I finished my thought. We can.
Okay, let me just summarize it with this, you guys. Our IsDNA concept, it gets really interesting when you find out that clients that you might take on that have no distinction in the marketplace are actually difficult clients, because what they really they don't really want rankings, they want money. And just because you're willing to rank doesn't mean you're going to solve their deepest desires, right?
Exactly.
Just because you're like the ultimate SEO and you have website silo architecture and you can rank for thousands of keywords using far fewer inbound links, and you have the socially activated perpetual downstream traffic system, you can get them huge amounts of traffic, and if they don't convert, their problem's not going to really be solved, right?
Exactly.
And so this is why you have to charge a lot more money when you help them position themselves in the marketplace outside of SEO. This is something that happens at the foundation here. And that is really about why. And why is very much connected to innovative solutions, but you can have really cool products and inventions that solve major painkillers in any kind of industry, but the way that the company positions itself in the market as far as congruency and its values, things that are extremely social and very, very important to actual financial conversion and transactions from the position of social marketing. That's what why is about. Why is about making sure that you communicate to your viral market the values of your company, what inspired you, and for example, a company's story. That is the mythology, the narrative behind the invention itself is extremely important. In fact, Sue and I have always continued to communicate why ThemeZoom and Kraken Domain Web Studio was created. And that story always impacts and is a part of our brand, why it was created, the values behind it. And that's really what Simon Sinek's talking about. We'll get into that quite a bit at the event. For about a couple hours, we'll talk about why. And sometimes you don't have a why for clients, but it's also important that you have a why for yourself. Why are you doing this? And it's not just, MLM marketing, like, I'm doing this because I want to live on an island somewhere, or I want to get money for my family. This is the why that you're presenting to the market about your company, and rather than the how and the what. You're not just selling stuff online. And what's crazy, over the next 2 to 5 years, as this social positioning, this cybernetic environment becomes predominant, it's going to be harder and harder to just lead with what, which is to have giant shopping carts online. Even the giant shopping carts with thousands of products that are syndicated through XML via Google Base, you're still going to have a why and a brand that's distinct, because you're going to be competing with places like Amazon and the rest, so we'll get into all that stuff.
Exactly. So, back at the keyword. Once you've got your keywords extracted from your FAQs, you're ready to perform the market analysis. I'm just I'm wondering if I want to back up for a second. No, we're good. Okay. You're ready to perform the market analysis and the competitive analysis, which we demonstrated a little bit last week in Kraken. And your analysis results in the creation of your keyword DNA and your Empire keyword DNA. Now, Empire keyword DNA we've talked about before, and you guys have probably, most of you have built out a silo or websites using Domain Web Studio and our tools already. But Empire keyword DNA is a fairly new concept, and we haven't talked about it outside of certification. So what's going to happen once you've got your, as you're drilling out your blueprint, as you're collecting all your keywords for your blueprint, there's a new function in the bottom of Domain Web Studio that down in the bottom where you can add your synonyms and you can add your supporting keywords. In the version of Domain Web Studio that you guys will get access to, there's a new option there that says add these keywords as Empire keywords. And these are the keywords that we're going to use to automatically build out all your networks. So my frustration has been for 5 years now. I come up with 5,000 good keywords. Yeah. Like there's 5,000 keywords that I can use to dominate my market, and I have to try and fit it into a website. And you can't. Like you just can't. I can get maybe 200-300 on a good website, maybe 500 keywords in there, and then you don't want this website that's just this huge monstrosity that people get lost in. You want to keep it small enough that people go from point A to point B, right? That they actually, if we're talking your money site, right? You want them to actually find the buy button and purchase. So you want to lead them down that path. So the idea behind the Empire keyword DNA set is you get to take all of these keywords that heretofore you have had to throw away, and now there's a place for them. And not only is there a place for them, but there's a specific place for them in your network that walks them all the way through from initial inquiry through to the buy button. So all of those other things that they were doing, all of those other platforms, the forums that they're looking on for feedback, and all of the other social proof and all the review sites and all of that kind of stuff, that all now becomes either WR1, WR2, or WR3 domains, and you get to take all of those keywords and make really good use of them everywhere, and most of it's absolutely automated.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you still hear me, Sue?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Okay. I got rid of my feedback, so it's like all of you.
Excellent.
I wanted to ask a question here for some group,
yeah.
kind of just based on what you said. How many of you coming to the events are planning on building a large network, or you're really thinking big before you do yours? And that's two questions. Well, let's just start with the first one. How many of you are actually planning on thinking a little bit larger than just one site? Okay, there's some of you. Very big, huge, not sure yet. Okay, so we have some different, you will be, okay, I'm just going to use you guys' names because you are going to be meeting each other. Looks like Wilhelm, yeah, and then Steven. This is good. All right, you guys are going big. Good, that's just good to know because Sue and I are working with a lot of ridiculous technologies right now, so we're just trying to line everything up.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if you guys could also answer, on top of that, are you planning on implementing these types of concepts as products? Are you going to productize these types of things within your agency or firm? You plan on offering these, for example, Wilhelm, do you plan on offering this to sell it for a cool, 30 to 50K or 10K? Or we're going to actually show you what we're coming up with, which is the nodal pricing structure. We're still kind of cultivating it, but some really cool stuff Sue's come up with.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Okay, there's a few of you. Interesting. Okay, that helps us out. Go ahead, Sue. Medium-sized businesses. All right, so Kevin, you're looking at maybe offering nodal, concepts with the medium-sized businesses. Great. Yeah, because we'll break this down for you in a way that's very, very sellable. In fact, I can't keep people off my back right now. I'm literally locked into my when I started actually diagramming this stuff out, I got people even calculated in this size. I actually have to have a secretary now. Go ahead, Sue. Oh, here's another one. Used more for promotion of our main site, but you you want to have a product. Oh, okay. So you have a particular industry that you're looking at, it sounds like, Stephen.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Okay.
Okay, so as we talked about last week, to accomplish the research, you're going to use Kraken, going to use TLKT. TLKT can help you flesh out more of those keyword lists for the EKDNA stuff, and obviously Domain Web Studio. So that brings us to the technical foundation. This is where you set up your domains and all your technical infrastructure, and we'll get into that a little bit. It's more just kind of there as a placeholder because that's something that you have to do. We don't have, like, there aren't any of our applications that actually fill that gap, but there are always a lot of questions that come up. So, so we've got stuff in the members area to help you with that. Then there's creating the ADNA and VDNA. We just had a question come through.
Yes, Kevin, we will. We will talk about personal blog networks.
Oh, yes.
Don't get us started.
That's going to be day 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually, Kevin's coming?
Yeah.
Oh,
this is Kevin
yeah.
McCarthy.
Yeah, I got you. That's great. All
yeah.
right. So I think he's using some interesting things. That'll be good to talk to him about. I know that he's doing some unusual blog stuff. Continue.
So, so this brings us to the Painkiller article creation, and that's where you're going to convert people using the Painkiller article stuff, and the video scripts and all of that stuff, like all of the pains that you found down there in the IsDNA come back and actually get implemented into all of your content, the articles, the videos, the autoresponders. Everything happens at this level.
Your mind will be blown, actually, because think about, I'm just trying to think of an example, too, so that we can make a connection here.
Yeah.
Like, think about one of our friends who came in, they were working for a really, really large, is it okay if I do this?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to hijack your thing. But if you look at, like, we had a client that was working for a really large solar panel company in Canada or something like that. They came in for a certification event and really changed everything. In fact, they walked out and sold a $40,000 thing. But what was really cool about it is we spent almost a day and a half doing frequently asked questions to should ask questions. And he had a pretty good handle on the frequently asked questions because those are all your keywords, right? Those are the keywords that you find on the search engines that everybody's talking about.
Right.
But he hadn't zoomed in on the unique company innovation, which was actually huge in his case. You know, like I said, sometimes companies don't have that. You can help them position and they can pay you more money, right?
Right.
And pull a J. Abraham or something like that on them. But in this case, they were already distinct. Like we had to do almost no work. So we connected the frequently asked questions to the should ask questions and to the real pain that was driving that market for solar energy, which was paying too much for electricity, but also the benefit of being able to sell back electricity to the power company, which is really big up there. So what was really crazy is like they already had a ton of videos on this stuff, and all they had to do was transcribe them and then maybe edit them a little bit. So they already had huge amounts of content. So some of the original kickoff content just ended up being VDNA. That means video DNA, meaning the building blocks of their industry solution that then became their transcripts, right? And all of a sudden they had all this content which could then, you know, drip downstream through their one web ring system. So that's just an example of what we're talking about, how the ADNA and the VDNA might be specific to your business, and a lot of the times it depends on what the client already has in terms of content. I mean, there's so much content that you find a lot of your clients have that they're leaving on the table. Wouldn't you agree, Sue?
Absolutely. So this brings us to headline DNA. And what we've been doing, what we don't get into too much in the members area, we need to go back and actually pick it up, is once you've got your site set up and you've got all your Painkiller articles on your site, you're going to start blogging. And as you blog, you're going to take your blog content and curate it out to other sites. And we'll get into that very explicitly in the event. But as you curate it, particularly to your other golden frame sites, either your branded social media sites or your other branded blogs, you'll change up the headline a little bit. And we currently grab all of the headlines This is the headline DNA stuff. We grab all those headlines and we push them out to the Twitter army. So, and that just starts to get really crazy. I won't get too much into that, but just, yeah?
Steve is asking how many total people will be attending the certification. It's only you, Stephen. This whole thing is just a... No, I'm kidding. What do we have, Sue? Is it something like 8 or 6?
It's about 10.
Oh, it's 10, because I know we had somebody push till later in March and April.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just, this is all just for you, man.
Yeah, the guys from the Philippines. Yeah, it probably is 8. We've got those 2 guys from the Philippines that pushed to the end of the month. That's right.
Oh, okay. Right.
Problems getting visas. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So then the next layer is you finalize your website and your blog. You put all those pieces together. This is where you implement the silo structured website. You get all your content on your site. You get your you look at it from the perspective of the people who will be finding your site and make sure that your calls to action are clear and all of that kind of good stuff.
Right. Minor details.
Minor details.
Yeah, it's actually pretty huge. There's so many things. In fact, I'm going to go back into the members area and start writing some things. Things have gotten a little bit more complicated since last year with Open Graph and everything. So those are examples of things that you want to make sure are finalized. And Sue's got a huge list also.
Yep.
It's amazing how much difference of click-through you can get when you don't have Open Graph properly enabled. It's like nuts. I'm watching this on the PinVid blogs, right?
Right.
It's just like, man, you go to your Facebook page, whoops, I didn't have Open Graph properly set on this, and you go over to Bitly and you see your click-through rate like down 50% because there's no pretty pictures. I mean,
exactly.
The whole web is like becoming image-driven, you guys. And that's a significant part of, especially the WR2 ring. Actually, everything. I mean,
everything.
The images and videos, just
yep.
It's amazing the kind of click-throughs you can lose if you don't have pretty pictures.
Yep. Yeah, at the very least, you want pictures, and if you
least.
can, if you can swing it, you want videos.
Yeah, and if they can be adult pictures, it's even better. I'm just totally kidding. I'm just messing with you guys. No, but even though I am joking, every industry has its own version of that.
Yeah, its own pornography.
Right? Yeah. Every industry has a particular kind of thing. Like Wilhelm, you know what it is in yours. It's really good-looking gals with unbelievably nice-looking teeth. Yeah, I mean because we saw that. My audio is a little off.
Oh, it's just a smidge echo-ish, but it's not bad.
You sure?
At least for me, it isn't bad.
How's everybody else besides Steve? Am I okay? All right. Wilhelm says it's good. Sorry, Steve. I'm not sure. Anyway, my point is pretty obvious to all of you. Every industry has something that's they're very passionate about. Social causes, which I'm very involved in. Activism. I'm also involved in some activist clients that I have. It's just amazing how many shares and click-throughs and retweets and Facebook shares and all these you get when you know the type of images and topics and visuals that they want. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. Steve asked, are PowerPoint presentations converted to video okay?
Yeah. Oh, you mean as far as the VDNA?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, one of the things I'm doing in the numbers area right now, and just so you guys know, like Sue and I spent a year of just like dumping everything in our brain, and we thought it would be like a 3-month project. A year later, we're still like fleshing all this out.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is there's about 5 or 7 different methods of video creation. Yes, and absolutely, what we call cells videos or video. Actually, a name for a video. I forget it. But you can do PowerPoint presentations. I'd like to recommend. Well, I think we're giving you a copy of what I believe to be the most dangerous book of all time.
Yes.
I know I say a lot of things about books that I like, right, you guys? But this book, I wish in some ways had never been produced or created. It's a book that I have right here called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. And so, Stephen, you should have a pitch deck when you create your PowerPoints from now on. And do not deviate. You will convert anywhere from 10 to 30% every time, as long as you don't think that you know better than the pitch deck. And we're going to go over that. Actually, I'm going to test it out on you guys and see if you can give me like 30 minutes just to, give you the layout of the pitch deck. Because then when you're doing your PowerPoints and you're using your screencasts and any other environment where you're just going to capture or curate slides, PowerPoint curation, whatever, as long as you have the pitch deck, it's going to work. So to answer your question in short, yes. As long as you stick with the pitch deck, you can do any kind of medium, and you don't even have to be a real person. Now, when you're in really high-touch social markets, you want to make sure that you have a spokesperson. In the software industry, PowerPoints work really well. And even if you're doing a slide show or a PowerPoint, Stephen, you can still put real human beings in there. And we do talk about that quite a bit, how faces, a lot of the work done by Dr. Eggman and the rest shows that faces will increase call to action significantly because we're a tribal species. We have thousands of years of looking to each other's faces for emotions and as a secondary heuristic mechanism, that is, in making decisions. So try to pop a lot of faces and human things into your PowerPoint presentations. Here's another tip for you, Stephen. Don't take glossy, obviously model, unnatural-looking posing people in PowerPoint presentations. Make them real. Yeah. And that's because of the new web. The new web is really turning into amateur video. And people actually are kind of suspicious of overly glossed professional stuff in many markets. Not all, but many markets. So we'll talk more about that in the later bit as well.
Yeah. All right, so when you get to layer 6, this is the one feed, and this is another place where the extracted headlines can be used. I don't know how familiar all you guys are with the RSS. Since we put out the course and everything, we've got quite a bit of material inside the members area with the one feed. The stuff that's actually in like niche domination, that's antiquated. I got to get in there and update it. But
yeah, I'm working on that with you too.
Yeah, but if we'll make sure that you guys have got access to the spreadsheets on how to do the one feed and all that kind of good stuff. And
can I ask them, Sue?
Yeah.
Can I ask another question of the group?
Sure.
Okay. Do you guys, how many of you plan on providing the one feed service in-house retail, purchasing from us wholesale? Are there anyone who's planning on reselling the one feed with clients? Okay, maybe. Not sure what it is yet. Okay, so on and so forth. And how many of you are using it for yourself right now? I've actually purchased one feed for your own blog network. Okay. All right, so we'll just get into it. We'll get into it more.
Yeah.
And Kevin hasn't quite. Okay. So when you guys come, I really want to make sure that you implement this stuff. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, you can also take your G+ feed. We've got an application that will allow you to get your feed out from your G+ account, and you can run that through your one feed. And we will, trying to think, we will spend at least some time on one feed and how to set it up. Since we've got, we're actually redoing the videos for the course at the moment. I'll make sure you guys have got access to all of that stuff so that you've got the spreadsheets on exactly how to do it and the blow-by-blow videos.
Yeah, we're cleaning up that whole area. And the cool thing is, one of the things I didn't make really clear, we're moving everything into a centralized focus. And just so you guys don't feel confused, the RSS submission process, the basic submit and the advanced submit, they're pretty much the same every time. The only decision you really have to make is whether or not you, like for example, you want to create a Google Plus feed or you want to create a Pinterest feed. So it's really kind of, you're going to do the same type of submission more or less. I mean, there's some variations that Sue will get into, but more or less every time. You just got to determine how many RSS feeds you want to create and for what outlets. And so one of the things we'll talk about, we take you through each process. You do have to determine whether the medium is appropriate for your particular industry and your particular business model. You don't have to do every feed. For example, Pinterest, is not always, at least in the early days, it wasn't always that useful for every single industry, but it was incredibly, like, it'd be crazy to not use it, say, in like health and wellness. Now it's getting popular everywhere. So this is an example. We'll talk about this with each one of you. Does it really make sense for you to use this avenue? And that will answer the question of does it make sense to submit a one feed for that particular feed, a basic submit.
Exactly. All right, so then that brings us to launch. Now, in the niche domination area, I just sum up launch pretty much in one step. But let me just make sure how much detail I go into this. Hang on. Whoops. All right. So in certification, where we're actually, normally we talk about multiple domains. I want to at least expose you to the idea of networks, multiple domains in your WR1 ring, and networks so that you're completely up to speed to be able to handle real market domination, aside from just niches. So what we're going to talk about is, obviously Domain Web Studio is used to organize a lot of this, because without an organizational medium, you just absolutely go crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
So the soft launch. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You guys are going to be the first to, probably be kicking around the network empire complete application as it starts rolling out in the next few months.
Yeah, exactly. So as you move into the launch, the first phase of launch is basically your WR1, your money site, and your primary branded social media sites. And you want to kick a couple of blog posts, you want to get enough content running through so that you can test everything. So that's, for me, that's the soft launch. You're testing everything, you're making sure your autoresponders work, you're making sure that customer service is there when they need to be, that all of the bits and pieces have come together and everything's communicating properly. And once that's all working well, you move into the hard launch phase. So this is where you start to branch out a little bit. You start to get your network involved. You expand your marketing strategies to the next level. You expand your content reach to the next level. You start really driving some serious traffic. And then beyond that, there's market domination. And this is where all 3 rings, 6 rings if you count social media as being separate stuff, all of your rings are completely implemented. Your advertising is expanded to the max of what you want it to be, and you've got all kinds of crazy traffic coming in from all sorts of different directions. And the cool thing about that, the cool thing about that, I'm just going to jump right to the end, is that as we get these networks set up, they're going to automatically be populated not just with content, curated content off of your WR1 sites, but it's also going to have in it all of the tracking codes needed so that you're going to be able to follow people all the way through all 3 rings. So if somebody comes in on a WR3 ring with a particular keyword and 6 weeks later they actually buy something, you're going to be able to follow that transaction all the way through. So back to this. You can't tell I'm excited, can you? So, Domain Web Studio, throughout all of this madness, right, all of this what would be chaos, Domain Web Studio is going to tell you what you need to promote, what keywords you need to promote, and how you need to promote it. When to post your articles. It just keeps track of the entire enchilada for you. And then the only thing to do is to rinse and repeat. You have all of this information coming back in from your entire network that's telling you what keywords are converting. You start to see, hey, wow, on WR2 and WR3, these keywords are actually really important. I'm making significant conversions off of these particular keywords. So then at that point, you want to make sure that you grab those keywords and start implementing them on your money site, right? Because they're clearly, even if they're like in educational domains, it's still like something like, it doesn't necessarily have to be your money site. Let me back this up and say one of your branded sites. Right, so you want to make sure that you've actually got that in your WR1 domain. So that's it. The only thing that happens from there, your outsourced team keeps on rolling, everything is going, Domain Web Studio tells you whenever anything is behind, and you end up with you everywhere, all the time, right now.
Yeah. How many of you know what a holograph is? Just kind of wondering if that's a common term that I could use. Or just, yeah, you know?
Yep.
I know well on this. Can we just snap back maybe to the pyramid again?
Sure.
Which one?
Is that far enough back?
Yeah. This is not something I was really talking about during your event, Wilhelm, but the main thing that we were trying to convey, and I don't know how well we did it in 2012, and we've gotten really good with the graphics we're working on right now and things. But the reason we use this as a stackable system is a lot of internet marketers and SEOs and even online entrepreneurs are flying by the seat of their pants, and it's all very asymmetrical. Meaning, first they'll run over here, what Matt DeCruz calls leapfrogging. They'll leap from one best guess of what is the most important thing to be doing right now to the other best guess. And it's perfectly awful because they're just jumping from one best guess to another, and most of the time we're wrong when we're just guessing like that. But when you have a stackable system, you're imitating nature. This is called biomimicry, and it's holographic. What I mean by holographic is your core seed, the smallest atom that you go into the core of a business through quid pro quo to exchange, where there's creating value out of thin air, is going to be an unexpected solution to a pain. Okay, and you can get expected solutions as well, but the DNA of your business is really your solution, your invention. The thing that's providing value itself is defined by an unexpected solution to a problem. This is one of the most important books I've ever read. It's number 2 now behind Pitch Anything, called How to Move Beyond a Price-Driven Sale.
That's also a book you guys are going to get.
You guys are going to be getting it, and you need to just sleep with it under your pillow. and the reason that you do it, the reason that you look at it is because a hologram is your IsDNA comes first. That means that every part is contained within every part. Okay, and the challenge is that this is called a fractal or a hologram. When every part is contained within every part, if there's nothing at the core, in other words, you're starting with just what and with no y. If your y is the holographic center, or the smallest genetic part of all the other parts, the macro systems and micro systems of your entire automated business, if there's real value there, then it's holographic in a way that's actually going to get traction. If you're not providing anything of value, and you can still get really holographic, but not really have a lifetime value customer. Does that make sense? In other words, the IsDNA needs to be contained within. This is why we stacked it like this. Okay, that is the solution, that is your product or service, and the reason why should also be contained in step 2. The keywords, need to make those up, and the themes. And then you can move those keywords around in any way that you want, which is within the article or the video. But the article and the video need to be formulated based on the painkiller. And again, so your DNA, which is the solution to a painkiller, will literally be contained as a holographic part of each one of the steps of everything that you say, everything that you do. And then ultimately, if you were to just take away this, you're going to go into just basic business education. Jay Abraham used to say that everybody in your company is a marketer, from the person picking up the phone to the on-hold music playing on your digital phone systems.
Exactly.
People waste that space. There's people on hold with you, and they're not hearing anything except really bad music. Why not talk to them about your company or the valuable, tell them the story. These are all about, that's an example of true holography, when your on-hold phone is actually providing the IsDNA of your company. Nobody does this, you guys. We've just mapped SEO, internet marketing conversion, neuromarketing onto business logics. And you guys are going to learn all of that. What's even crazier is you're going to find out that almost every industry or micro niche has a single one-line zinger that when you utter it, 90% of your market will respond. Okay, and then you follow it with the other gimmicks like the countdown timers and the scarcity tactics. You can determine whether or not they're valuable, like Market Samurai is talking about right now. You guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, those come second to your IsDNA. Those things like scarcity tactics and countdown timers, they work, believe me, Sue, and I know they do. No question. But they're seconds. Those are gimmicks that are secondary to your core business IsDNA. And each one of you, I'm going to be spending intense amounts of time, Sue and I are going to be spending intense amounts of time with each one of your specific goal and purpose. You're going to be walking away knowing what these are for your specific market. So that's all I have to say about that.
All right, cool.
Maid service, do you need to get that?
Yeah, let me, no, it's good. We're good. So.
Any questions on that, you guys? Also, I do have the new map if you wanted me to show it. I could show it.
Yes, I'm going to pass this to you.
I have it up.
Kevin made a comment about needing a bigger suitcase, and I just want to let you guys know I'm actually sending these books to your home address. We'll have copies of the books there at certification so that you can, if you want to reference something during a break or something, you can. But don't feel, don't worry about having to lug these back home.
Yeah, Kevin, we don't want you to have to take them all the way back with you. It's nice. There's quite a few of them. There's some like 4 books.
There's 10.
There's 10 this year.
All right, let me, are you ready for me to change presenter to you?
Yeah, let me just get rid of this adult material and a few other things.
You're so bad.
Run a joke like that. I really shouldn't do that. I know we have some ladies coming to this. Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
What do I do?
Just show your screen.
All right, showing my screen. Just let me know if you can see it.
There we go.
It's on a 60-inch monitor, so I don't know how it's going to convert.
It's good.
All right. Okay. So this is something that I'm working on right now with Sue. It's not completely finished. I know the little sparkly things are kind of annoying, but hey, it's like a bowl of Skittles. But here's the socially activated one web ring perpetual downstream traffic system laid out in what we call a flatland. What Sue and I have just gone through with you today was the vertical, right? The kind of stackable. It's more of a lateral slice, So what we're looking at here is flatland, and you've seen this before, but we are going to make sure that each one of you have this kind of super general step. I don't know what that power by June was there. It's not supposed to be there, but we have this super general step process. Okay, so the general thing is first we're going to focus on the WR1 stuff for you guys, and then we're going to look at the WR2, and each one of these has to be determined within your particular industry. For example, is Google Plus appropriate? Determine if a Google Plus or a personal Google Plus business page or both makes sense in your market. And we're going to go over all these types of details. Okay, so not everybody is necessarily going to want a Google Plus page as a super high priority, right? I think most people will want it. I'm going to go over the Twitter stuff. Is Twitter appropriate in your industry? It's not that it's inappropriate, it's just that it may not have the same kind of focus in your industry as it does for other ones. So we're going to kind of, Facebook especially is under this, make sure that Facebook fan page makes sense in your market. It doesn't always. I mean, Perry Marshall's right about that. There are some things where it's really super secondary. I mean, for a WR1. So we get into all these types of things. So this is what we're going to kind of do. We're going to go through YouTube. YouTube is really something that needs to be on everybody's radar. I hope that it is. And not just YouTube, but video in general. Don't get Sue started on that application. We're in the middle of building lethal weapons for that type of stuff. I'm not going to talk about. Okay, so then there's 9. Pinterest, of course, is a really strange environment. But these are the things that we're going to talk about. LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a real winner for consultants. I think most of you guys are. Sue is our expert on LinkedIn.
Yeah, if you're B2B, it's a very important platform.
Oh, man, it's essential. Like B2B is, you really need to be getting it. And so we talk about it. And again, all these get added to your Google Plus About Us page. If nothing else, you probably should have a Google Plus page just to add those. And we'll get into each definition of all that. LinkedIn's added. And then Scoop It. Soon I decided to leave Scoop It and curation platforms that are not very automatable. There is some automation. We like Scoopit because we consistently get decent rankings. But again, Scoopit is a platform that's, I think, a lot of people who are technical really like. So technical type topics, do really, really well on there. And other ones are, I'm talking about PageRank. So it really depends on how shareable it is. But we put this here to represent a topic which I know many of you are probably going to want to talk about. In fact, I'd like to put that out for a question. How many of you are going to really need a lot of information about content curation? Let's just take a little bit of a, I probably should do it a little bit. To see what, anybody like?
We got 2 yeses.
Okay, there's a yes. Okay, sure, but.
We've got Kevin that answered 3 times, but I think we should only count him once.
I guess I would really like to be, I know that I'm already prepared with content curation. I mean, I feel like I've developed mastery in that area. But everybody has a different, there's 3 or 4 different kinds of content curation. And I really want you guys to walk away from this event knowing the difference between RSS feed curation and content curation. Because I've talked to a couple of you, and when you're talking about content curation, what you're really holding in your mind is still automation. So I think that's what a lot of you really want. So I just need to, well, yeah, okay, so that's great. That's what I was looking for, Stephen. Do you need to get your writers involved with content curation? Absolutely. Content curation can be outsourced. In fact, it's one of the easier things to outsource. Sue and I are doing that right now.
Yeah.
In fact, I feel what I like about the repurpose, we call it the perpetual downstream traffic system, because content curation is a great thing to reference this right now, actually. Let me do that to answer that question. And we're going to do this on some diagrams and drawing, and we're going to get way in depth with it. Well, your primary content starts right here, what I call content ground zero. Okay, and you have really super control of all that through Domination Studio, through your writers, and for me, in a lot of the markets that I deal with, it's excellent content from experts who don't have time to write a lot. In fact, I might even just take their video and have somebody write a great summary or an abstract. That type of stuff is still content curation, but it still starts at ground zero. Okay. The cool thing about not hiring necessarily writers and just having them curate, you can hire writers, but keep them. Those are going to go in different blogs, which we'll talk about out here, your WR2 realm. But you can actually have your outsourcing team curate through your WRS1 branded, and that's what's so refreshing because you wrote that content. It's not going to suck, right? In fact, your HTNA and your headline, Sue and I have had a couple of challenges with some overzealous or underzealous outsourcers who really did a bad job with their headlines on curation. But all it really requires is a little bit of training students, and they can just literally, I don't know if you can see up here in my corner, can you guys see the Scoopit button up here?
Yep.
Okay. You can even get your outsourcing team to have their little Scoopit buttons, and once you have your magazine set up, and this is where you are going to be superior to anyone else, once you have your key DNA and your theme cluster, as Sue is saying, your top-level themes should match the magazine on Scoopit. They should also match the blogs, the auto-pinned blogs, out here on your WR2. In other words, your themes it'll all become really simple, whether you're creating a whole blog for a theme or whether you're just creating an article, because everything is well structured within Kraken.
Exactly.
Or DWS. You've actually got this amazing thing. And then you can just hand a Scoopit button to your outsource team and say, okay, here's the 12 magazines. You can even have them set up the magazines for you. And every time you create excellent content, or even repurpose, or even transcribe, or have a grammar expert clean up a transcription, or just write an abstract, whatever it is, and they can just push that button and syndicate it out there. Okay, we're going to go over this in depth. That is a type of curation which can be outsourced. So really what you're doing is you're handing out bookmarklets to certain trusted advisors, and they do need a little training on curation, like they can take our new and upcoming curation course if you want, or these types of things. But that should help things. And then the scarier stuff, which is out here, your WR2 property networks, you guys can decide if this is appropriate for your market. I don't think Sue or I would probably ever find a market where it's not appropriate. But there are some situations you don't, But just make sure how it's appropriate. We'll get into that a little bit. And then the stuff that's kind of heavy duty, like automatic video blogs and the rest, which generates huge amounts of traffic for me and Sue right now and different things we're doing. you can just scale that infinitely if you wanted to. Well, not infinitely, but you know what I mean. And then you don't really have, a lot of this stuff is traveling downstream. So the content that you have in WR1 is going to travel downstream to WR1, and your WRS1, or your social ring, you guys understand this is your social ring. So the links and URLs that are traveling from your WR1 content and your WRS1 always point back upstream. Okay, so in other words, the downstream traffic system is that your content is coming from the perspective of content. Your content is traveling downstream in various repurposed forms. You're saving a huge amount of money. And the links that are traveling downstream to these mixed up HDNA or headline DNA are always pointing back to your important properties. All of a sudden, you have this tsunami of traffic with URLs that are pointing to your own properties. And Sue's going to talk a lot more about how PageRank is also affected because, for example, your Scoopit platform generates PageRank, and all the other third-party platforms, even Twitter profiles and Facebook profiles, even though they're no follow, I have direct evidence that my fan pages that have PageRank 2 and above affect the PageRank of the URL that's on the About profile. Okay, so these are the types of things that you'll be learning, that all those links will drive traffic back upstream because the content's being repurposed downstream through both curation and article creation through Domain Studio. Does that make sense, Sue?
Yep.
Hey guys, does everything kind of generally jive with what I'm saying here? You kind of get that the content travels downstream, but the traffic floats back upstream, and so does the PageRank? I said this. I explained this the other day to a client, and they said, "Wow, that's the first time I ever understood what the heck you were talking about." So that's why I'm just trying to check. Make sense, Kevin? Okay, good. Makes sense to you? Yeah. Okay. So that's really all I have for that for now.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Good.
That's probably a good day, huh?
Yeah. The one other thing that was on the syllabus to cover today is mobile, and as I started pulling together the content that I wanted to cover for mobile, it's huge. I'm actually going to do several pages or a mini course on it because it's just...
How many of you are working with mobile right now?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Can you let us know? Stephen, you are? Wilhelm, you are?
Wilhelm.
Wilhelm, what specifically on mobile are you working with right now? Wish we could unmute him. That's cool. Okay. Okay,
Sites.
so
That's
are
Kevin.
you talking about, that's Kevin. Kevin, are you just talking about the sites that you're building now being mobile friendly? Does that count?
Okay.
And Sue, is that what you were talking about?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm actually talking about advertising on mobile as a up-and-coming venue. And definitely the sites need to be mobile ready too. That's been something that I've been kind of pushing for a couple of years, but I've just... Yeah, exactly. Driving traffic from mobile. There's several different ways that you can advertise. There's everything from embedded in a game to AdSense to being on the networks themselves. And different countries have different options, and it's complicated. It's one of the reasons it's so complicated. Wow, up to 40% of our traffic is on mobile. Yeah, I've seen that. Certain markets, it's actually huge. The dumpster client I've got has an incredible amount of their traffic that comes off of mobile as well. So one of the reasons that it's so confusing is because it's in its infancy. Right. You know, way back in the day when I first started with computers, everything was confusing then too. There were different operating systems and different platforms. Now it's just, down to a couple. You've got Apples and you've got IBMs, and things are pretty matured when it comes to desktop computers. And then there was the beginning of the internet where it was a frenzy and people were making huge amounts of money here or huge amounts of money there, and then other people were just like completely ignoring it. And that's exactly where we are with mobile today. There's some people who are making huge amounts of money, and a lot of the market that's still ignoring it. And so I want to get you guys up to speed with what's going on, but it's kind of an off and left field. It's not got really anything to do with most of the other stuff that we talk about, except for the fact that it's yet another avenue. So in this idea of ubiquity and you everywhere all the time right now, we can't exclude mobile. So
Right.
WR-M ring, yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is kind of important because it's kind of juxtaposed over, it's going to be really interesting to decide how we want to deal with it because, like, I'm dealing with a lot of blockchains that are extremely mobile friendly, and then I'm dealing with some that are not at all.
Right.
Right. And so you got to test them all out, and also there's a couple of pretty cool plugins I'm sure that most of you know about that you can use. You know, they're a little pricey, but they do help some things, you know, on some events. But then we're also dealing with the issue, Wilhelm, you probably know about this, is of a massive surplus of mobile ads available right now. And it's going to go away. I mean, we're just in the, what did Vincent say, like Wild West of it right now. So
Exactly. Yep.
We kind of are, and, you know, we have friends of ours making $10,000 a day. You know, I mean, there's no question. And so if you're looking at that type of stuff, this is where there's an opening in all that stuff, and the companies that I try to do some mobile for themes in for a while, and it turned into a very harrowing experience for me because they don't even know the value of what it is that they're doing, so they sell you off these rates. So these are all things that, you know, you need to be aware of. But I think starting with, you know, is my website mobile friendly, and then jumping over into how do I advertise on mobile intelligently. To me, are those things that you're going to cover in the class?
Yep, exactly.
Interesting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for that. Okay.
So that's going to be for another day because it's just, first of all, I'm not prepared to talk about it today, but also because it's a thing into itself. It'd take another hour and a half to cover reasonably well. So
maybe we should have a bonus session for dinner or something where we just really get into it. And
that's a good idea.
Get into it.
There you go.
One last thing I wanted to say for you guys. Could you please be sure to make a list in advance of all of your RSS feeds? Wilhelm, I know you've already done it, so I'm not making you work twice, but you should already have your spreadsheet. Find all the RSS feeds for your personal blog so that we know what they are. Put them all in one place, like don't arrive and start, you know, have to dig around for all your RSS feeds. And that means everything, your Pinterest accounts, your YouTube accounts. If you have any questions about that, you can always go to our wiki here. And there's a short domain, themesinGlossary.com. We'll take you to the page. You can just type in RSS. And we actually give you a lot of RSS locations that are hard to find. Like this one people, for some reason, have a really difficult time. Here's your YouTube RSS feed. You can just go there, look on the search function. I just give you the thing right there. Okay, so you can just grab it. There's a Pinterest RSS feed, okay, and all that. So you can just grab it, storify it, and so on and so forth. All right. So that'll be helpful. But if you have any questions about where those are, I don't think I put the Pinterest up there yet. But have those, and also all your blogs. Just it's good for you guys to have them on a spreadsheet anyways, because otherwise it's going to, you know, you need those for your downstream.
Exactly.
And also, one last thing I wanted to say is, please also create a list of anything and everything. I want to tell you something that is an amazing opportunity that Sue is probably the best in the world for, like literally. She has, I mean, we have people all around the world who contact me asking me to ask her if this product or service or this black hat method or technique sucks or not, or is dangerous. Okay? She's pretty modest, so you would know this, but bring any of your black hat and software tools, questions, and one night we'll have a software debunking extravaganza. Okay? So bring all that stuff. You know, we'll look at it. Because we get a lot of questions about stuff coming in. People just question about all software. Bring that to the table. So part of the reason I want to do that is so that you guys aren't distracted and stuff. Okay, because you can get rid of, you know, thousands of hours worth of wasted time in a matter of what, an hour or two. So we just go through them all.
Yeah.
Because she has an amazing way of researching, and she thinks about things like no one you've ever met. So I always make sure before I go with it, you know, do crazy stuff with it and say, hey, there's this, and this, what do you think? And then she'll get into the programmatic aspects of it, and then the SEO connections, and then boom, it's off the island in like 20 seconds.
Yeah, we'll talk about why it's not evergreen. I mean, 99% of what's out there just isn't evergreen. They look to solve a problem right now in a method that's working right this minute without thinking long-term about it. And
yeah, what I'm hoping for that. Yeah, exactly. What I'm hoping for that meeting in that particular evening is that you walk away with a much better prediction machine in your brain. Because when you know this, when you know the programmatic realities of where things are, where they're going, and then how the code works, even, than how Google really thinks, then your prediction machine in your brain is working a lot better, and you just have a better filter. A lot of filtering on the web in this amazingly intense time with all this stuff happening is simply being able to make meaning faster and being able to see the potential meaning of new technologies more quickly than everybody else out there who jump on bandwagons. And then because you actually understand how they work systemically, you can vote them on or off the island in a matter of seconds instead of a matter of days. And that's really the difference between a beginner and a super advanced online technical entrepreneur. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Gals?
All right.
Anything else, too?
I think that's it. We got one more of these Wednesday sessions before we all show up in Scottsdale and paint the town black.
Absolutely. Don't get us started.
Hey, it's been exciting. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
The organized